already described to you about the fourth dimension. Would you like to go there consciously? Let us show you how.
Is it true that we can go to the astral world?
Of course. Not only that, you'll be surprised to note that we already do so every night when we sleep. Only some people know about this. Only some remember it. Most people do it unconsciously, but we all go to the fourth dimension in the night. This is, in reality, a natural process. A very special case comes to mind now. One day, I arrived at a village and looked for a hotel. But all the hotels were full and there was no hospitality at all. However, I managed to lodge at a boarding house. I paid for the only bed left and lay down to sleep. But around midnight, a man knocked on the door and asked for lodging too. The landlady took him to our room and told him, "I don't have any more beds. Can you see? They're all taken. There's no hospitality anywhere. I'll sleep in this room on the very floor if necessary. Place a bedroll, carpet or mat on the floor and a pillow for my head because I am very tired," the man complained. Touched, the landlady decided to give that man what he asked for. I was awake and watching what was going on. The man lay on the floor, determined to get some sleep. I noticed certain details. While the man was awake, he was moving to and fro, as if wanting to adjust to the hard floor. Suddenly, he stopped moving. And then I saw in amazement a small, ovoid grey cloud that gradually came out through the pores of his whole body. The cloud floated for a moment over that tired body. And eventually, it stood up and adopted the pilgrim's shape. He stared at me and then walked out in a normal way. This is, my friends, what always happens in the state of transition between wakefulness and sleep. The pilgrim left his dense shape. Everyone does the same, but in an unconscious way.
Amazing! So what can we do after going to the astral world? Why is this important?
It is necessary that you understand deeply the need to learn to get out of the physical body at will. I want you to understand that the physical body is like a house, and we don't need to be prisoners in this house. Out of the physical body, we can even invoke our dear relatives who already went through to the gates of death. They will come when we call them, and we shall be able to chat with them personally. Out of the physical body, we can invoke angels and converse with them face to face, personally. It is good that you understand that we had other bodies, other existences in the past. And out of the physical body, we will be able to remember them, to relive them exactly. The key to get out of the dense form, out of this flesh body, is very simple. Listen to me, pay attention. In the instance of transition between wakefulness and sleep, one can escape one's flesh and blood body at will.
But wait a minute, how do we know that we will be able to come back?
My dear friends, with this procedure, you can go to the other world and come back. The important thing is not to be afraid. People who say that the projection of the human personality is dangerous, that while you are outside your body, somebody else comes and occupies it, etc., are quite mistaken. Those who speak like that do get out of their bodies every night. Projecting your own astral body consciously means being aware of your own natural workings and cooperating with nature. Projection can never be dangerous. When I want to get out of my physical body at will, I take advantage of the instant when I'm drowsy. The moment when you're neither fully asleep nor fully awake. At that precise moment, I do what the pilgrim in my story did. I get up gently, as if feeling vaporous, fluid, gaseous. Then I go out of the room, like the above-mentioned man in the boarding house, and into the street. Space is infinite and flying. I can travel to every place on earth or in the infinite. You can do the same, my dear friends. It all depends on your resolve to do so. Above all, you must not identify with the material body. At the precise moment when you do the experiment, you must think that you are not the body. You must understand that you are souls. You must feel you are fluid and subtle souls. Then, feeling so in such a case, just get up from your bed. Practice what I'm telling you. You only need to beat your laziness and pay attention to the process of sleep. If you're really determined to get out of the body at will, you will do so if you accurately follow my instructions. All the wise men of past times used to abandon the dense form to travel consciously and positively through infinite space. Then they would talk with the holy gods and receive marvelous instructions. Outside this physical world, we can experience in a direct way all the mysteries of life and death. You will now understand why I emphasize so much the need to learn to get out of the physical body at will.
Okay, so is there some help available to be able to go to the astral? Is there a practice that can help us go there?
Well, my friend, let me tell you that there are invisible beings, masters who will help us. Yet, you can ask your own particular divine mother for help. I'm referring to your own mother nature, because it's obvious that everybody has their own. You must beg her in the name of Christ to take you out of the body at the precise instant when you're in the state of transition between wakefulness and sleep. But remember the proverb, God helps those who help themselves. When you feel the state of lassitude typical of sleep, when the first dream images appear in your mind, overcome laziness, please, and feeling like a subtle and delicate ghost, do the same as the pilgrim in our story at the boarding house. Get up from bed and go out of the house. Understood?
Are there other practices or mantras that can help us to do the astral projection too?
There's a lot to be said about projection of the eidolon or the astral body and about suprasensory travels outside the physical body. For example, the sentence said by Jesus the Kabir, "Let the children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these." So it is urgent and necessary to reconquer childhood in the mind and in the heart. Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Such a return to the original starting point is not possible if you've not died in yourself first. The essence, the consciousness is unfortunately bottled up amongst all the psychic aggregates that, as a tenebrous whole, make up the ego. Only by annihilating such left-handed and dark aggregates can the essence awaken to its original state of innocence. We then reconquer the lost childhood. It is obvious and evident that when the consciousness awakens, the problem of the voluntary projection no longer exists. Certainly, a series of mantric sounds can also consciously and positively project the eidolon. 1. Whistle in a long and delicate way, like a bird. 2. Sing the vowel E as you sing the note D in an elongated way. 3. Sing the R and make it resound on the note B, imitating a child's voice in a high-pitched way. It is something similar to the high-pitched sound of a pinwheel or a very fine and subtle motor. 4. Sing the S in a very delicate way, like a sweet and peaceful whistle. The asana or position to take is like this. The Gnostic student must lie on bed like a dead man, with the mouth upwards. Open the tips of the feet like a fan, with the heels in contact. The arms along the body. All the physical body well relaxed. The devotee will go drowsy in deep meditation and will sing many times the magical sounds. These mantrams are intimately related to the elemental department of birds, and it is evident that they will help the devotee to project his astral body. Each bird is the physical body of an elemental, and they always help the neophyte as long as he behaves in an upright way. If the aspirant longs for the assistance of the elemental department of birds, he must learn to love them. Whoever commits the crime of enclosing the creatures of the skies in abominable cages will never receive such aid. Feed the birds, become liberators of those creatures, open the doors of their prisons, and you will be assisted by them. So, we have shown two fundamental aspects of the regal key. The full and absolute development of these two parts are the great key that will enable us to achieve projection at will in a conscious and positive way. Whoever truly wants to experience the great realities of the higher worlds must develop inside themselves the two aspects of the great key. We will teach some mantrams to develop the faculty of projecting the astral body in a voluntary and positive way. Mantram means word of power. The vibrations of such words, of such letters, of such multiple combinations of sounds awaken the powers that are latent in the human being. The mantram Lara. You must know that the greatest power in the world, the best known key to project the astral body, depends on the sexual forces. This may seem strange to you. Pay attention. The creative energies, the famous libido mentioned by Sigmund Freud, that is, the sexual force in a process of libido genetic transmutation, produces a sound, the anahat sound, the mysterious sound similar to that of the cricket. Go drowsy as you vocalize mentally the syllables La, Ra. But this key must be practiced in a resolute and firm way. Vocalize mentally and then go drowsy. These two syllables are powerful. They can vibrate the sexual energies intensely. Consequently, we know that as soon as the energies vibrate powerfully and highly, the result is the origination of the letter that is the very whistle of the fohat, the fire, the letter S. When you listen to the magic anahat sound, do not be afraid. Adjust the volume. You can make it sound louder at will, and when the sound is vibrating very intensely, when it becomes very powerful, take advantage of it. Get up from the bed. Do not start thinking things like, I'm getting up with my body, or I'm getting up without my body, or where is the body if I get up? Get up. I repeat, get up. When you get up, it will be nature's job to separate the astral part from the physical body. You just have to get up, and before you leave your room, make a little jump with the intention of floating in the atmosphere. If you float, that means that you are in the astral world. Understood? If you do not float, go back to bed and repeat the experiment. Many disciples are successful immediately, while others take months and even years to learn. In any case, tenacity always wins.
You've given us a large number of practices and mantras to work with. Thanks for all this. So, what kind of attitude must we develop to the astral projection to be successful at this?
We must leave theories aside and get straight to the point, to the facts, to practice. Most brothers have wasted their time with theories, but what for? Millions of volumes, and yet the poor students have no faculties. They cannot travel in the astral body. They have never talked with a master. They find themselves in a very regrettable state. You should be practical then, my dear brothers. Theories? No, that is a useless waste of time. Be practical, have much faith, and do not get tired of the exercises we have given you. Another important key, which is also provided to be useful to project the astral body, is discernment. For instance, during the day, you can go along the street and suddenly you meet a friend you had not seen for many years. In that case, reflect a little and ask yourself, am I in the astral world? Am I outside my body? Then make a little jump with the intention of floating. And if you do float, that means you are in the astral world. Many times, students have asked themselves such a question and have made a jump, and they were in the astral world, the world of dreams, as you know. They were really there, but they were unconscious and believed that they were in their flesh and blood bodies. So one should learn to discern. During sleep hours, you live in the inner worlds with a sleeping consciousness. There we see carpenters in their workshops, sellers in their stores, drivers driving their cars, etc. And they all believe that they are in their flesh and blood bodies. If someone asks one of those friends, "In which world are you?" they always answer that they are in their flesh and blood bodies. If you do this practice during the whole day, at every minute, at every second, in front of a person you had not seen for a long time, in front of a curious object, in front of a crowd, etc., and ask yourself the question, it obviously engraves itself on the subconscious. As a result, you ask yourselves the same question in the astral world at night. And so you awaken your consciousness. Certainly, what you do during the day is repeated at night during sleep. If you get used to doing this exercise during day, you will obviously do it at night as well. When you do it during sleep, you awaken the consciousness, and then you can visit the temple of the White Lodge at will. You can invoke angels, etc. In the astral world, you can go to Shambhala and speak personally with the Divine Master Jesus Christ. He lives in Shambhala with the same old body, risen from among the dead. Jesus resurrected and he has his physical body. He keeps it alive in Shambhala. Shambhala is a land in Tibet, a land in the Jinn state, a secret land.
Wonderful. What else should we know about the projection?
First, the student should learn to project the astral body. Later, he could learn to take his physical body into the fourth dimension. Whoever learns to travel with their physical bodies through the higher worlds can really work wonders. Jesus walked on the waters because his physical body was inside the higher worlds. We have given the practice to grow in Jinn state in the booklet and encourage all of you to read it and practice it with faith.